you just have to have some gamble in you to play poker tournaments. Like, there's no like backup. Like, if poker doesn't work out, it's not like I'm gonna like work for some family business. Like, there is no backup.
Hey, this is Remko. Thanks for clicking on the video. This is my brand new podcast called Face the Ace, in which I talk to the most interesting people in poker and go a little deeper into the topics you most care about. Enjoy. One person I've never had on the podcast because you weren't big time yet back when I was doing shows, Mr. Jeremy Becker. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you here on the show. We got a ton to dive into. It's called The Human Side of Poker, and I figured the most human of them all, who claims that the computers might not be as necessary, might just be you. Do you think that among the crowd of players you move around in, that's correct?
I could maybe think of one other person possibly that's not into the whole computer solver stuff. I don't even know if it's widely known, so I don't really want to put them out there, but yeah, I think pretty much everyone is into it except me.
So as far as that style or that approach to a game that generally is now seen as solved, or a game that's seen as too tough to beat without those tools, was that an active decision? Are you now just resisting and holding on? Are you perhaps tempted to dive into it sooner than later?
I would say it's a bit tempting, just because like now being surrounded by these people, I kind of see like just how good they are, and a big reason is because of how hard they study and whatnot. But I don't really think, for me personally, just like my style, getting into that would do me much good. I think I would lose some of the stuff that I do well and maybe become like a worse version of them. So for me, I think I'm just really holding off, honestly.
So when you learn, I'm assuming it's a lot through observing and seeing how people approach certain things. It almost must mean that you pick up on certain things stylistically that they have learned from studying and you learned from observing.
Yeah, I would say I definitely have a good idea of how the solver like thinks through hands, just from like talking poker hands with my friends who do study them. But like me personally, like I've never pulled one up on the computer or anything like this. But I would say from like playing against them and talking with them through hands, like I have some sort of idea of like what sort of hands want to do certain things on different board textures or whatnot.
Yeah, so the accomplishments that you've had so far, in my opinion, are even more impressive when you're not utilizing basically the full array of what is out there right now. For the people that are watching this, by the way, we are on video and we're also on audio feeds for those that like to listen to this as they walk the dog or do chores at home. This gentleman, $5.3 million in career earnings, and I'm a huge Hendon Mob nerd. I've always been a Hendon Mob nerd, and one of the things I always love to look at is what's the biggest live cash in relation to the total earnings, because it says a little bit about how did that person get there. You win the main event for $10 million. And you got $11 million in earnings. Then what have you really done for me lately? But in your case, for the longest time, your biggest cash was less than 10% of your total earnings. You have almost 600 live results in tournament buy-ins, going down as low as free rolls, I almost want to say. Like, you play literally everything. And that, I think, says something perhaps that's even more important than a player's appetite to study, is your appetite to put in the hours, grind, have the discipline to keep showing up day after day. Do you think that is a quality in and of itself, and do you think that that is something that you utilize for your success?
I think that there's this term, actually I've been hearing a lot lately, like pub stomper. Do you
No?
have any idea? So it's basically like how somebody plays against like the recreational player, or like sort of like fish in big fields, if you will. And I think in like these lower, but like for instance, during the summer, like the 1500 monster stack or something. Like I think certain players who like theoretically maybe aren't like, in quotes, like a good poker player, just do really well in these sorts of fields. And I think those are the type of people that I played in, because my buy-in range, I mean, I would say my average buy-in for a very long time was like $200.
Right.
And these are the types of players that are going to be playing these things. And I think I just really got good from like experience and trial and error of playing these player types. And even to this day, like you go play a 3,500 WPT or something, like you're going to see, I don't want to say a majority, but a good amount of players in the field are the types of players that I was playing in these 200 for a really long time. Let me think of an example. I don't want to put anyone on blast here.
Please
I don't know.
Please do.
No, I think there's just people like in the studio that like are great poker players.
Right.
But like you're really playing a different game when you're playing in like these big field, like lower buy-in like events. And I think that's just like you need to play a whole different style. And I think I've gotten like, I would take myself versus almost anybody in America in these like sort of events where like theoretically, yeah, people are going to be way like better than me, but they don't really know like the response to what some of these people are doing. Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest like, what's the word?
Your edge, so to say?
Yeah, I think I have a really big edge in that, like especially going into the summer. Like let's say somebody like who's been catching a lot of heat, like Maurice Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Sean Deeb is actually really good at this. He has tons of experience and success in these sorts of events where like you just know how to play like the average recreational, and that's the majority of the player pool you're going to see in these big field events. So I think I've done really well, and that's like where my edge comes from in that.
So do you think that guys that exclusively play 10K plus buy-ins are unable to adjust in a meaningful way against that different sort of player pool? Because to me, it almost seems sometimes like if you study and just learn how to play and then have some, I guess, tools to your disposal mentally to adjust based on opponents, then it shouldn't be that difficult to adjust downwards. It's almost more difficult to adjust upwards as the competition increases. Or do you think that, players that only play those big buy-ins have huge leaks? And if they do, what are some of those?
I don't want to say leaks, just like I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, Steven Chidwick has no shot in the Millie Maker because like he's one of the best poker players in the world.
Yeah.
But like I just think maybe there will be certain spots where like he'll have a certain hand that like, okay, like I have this sort of like blocker. I just have to call here. Like my hand is great as a call here. But when you're playing like Rick from fucking Arkansas, like Rick's just never bluffing his tournament life off here, like ever. So regardless of like your hand, like you almost just have like a pure fold, And maybe, I mean, I don't want to say like guys like that aren't looking for these sorts of things, but like bet sizing patterns with these type of players is like the number one most important thing. Like even if it's like, let's say pre-flop, it's like raise and then 3-bet like 3x, and then I'm in like the small blind with like a block, let's say like some shitty ace. But I just saw last orbit the same guy 3-bet and showed down kings, and he went like 4x in like a similar position. Like he's just typically not going to be as strong. So I don't mind like just going with my read and taking some shit hand and like trying to get all of this dead money, where I think like I keep using Stevie just because like he's one of the best poker players, and he may fucking be really well in these fields. Like I just don't know. I've never played with him in them, but he might just look down at like ace deuce off right there and be like, all right, fold, and like not think twice. But this guy's literally telling you like by his sizing that he just doesn't have like a hand that he's willing to go with. And I just like don't care of looking stupid, really, where I think that's really important in tournaments.
I think you hit on something really interesting, the not looking stupid part. Sometimes when you observe, especially final tables, it becomes like a math contest in many ways, where I see you guys play in the studio on day one, lots of banter, lots of chatter, people running around. We've done some of the streaming where, you see some more of that insight sort of baseball where you guys just have like talk about prop bets and all sorts of nonsense. And then the final table rolls around and it's pretty quiet and people focus on the math. And thing that I always think when I watch that is like, oh, they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to make a mistake because this is on TV. This will make a highlight reel, or maybe their investor or their friend will text them afterwards and say, this spot is a pure fold, stuff like that. And just not having that, or not having those Fs to give in spots like that, could definitely be a place where you get an edge. Do you think that there's room for that too at the studio level, or are you completely switching up your game?
Am I switching up my game at a final table, you're saying?
No, I mean in the studio in general, because
I think definitely when I first started playing in the studio, I was very like trying to take it way more serious than like, for instance, 1K at Venetian. In the sense of like table presence, like I don't like, we've never played poker together,
right?
But I mean, at the table, like I'm fucking yapping, like I'm talking shit, like I'm talking during the hand, and from the outside looking in, you might be like, oh, this kid just doesn't care, like he's just having a good time. But like for me, that's what works and makes me like most comfortable, and just talking out loud. Like poker is a social game. Like I'm not there to make friends, like I'm there to make money, but I want to like have fun while doing it. Where I found myself in the studio, it wasn't really nervous, just like, oh my God, this is at 10K, like way above my typical buy-in range. Like let me be like more serious. And at the beginning, like I found that just wasn't like working for me. Like I would just find myself like getting short later in the tournament, or for whatever reason, like just the whole quiet, serious, like doesn't work for me personally. And I remember I literally texted Daniel and Josh, who invest in me in poker, and I was like, I'm going to play this series. It was the Bounty series. I think there were 6 tournaments, and I FT'd like 5 of them and won one. And I was just like, going into the series, I'm going to treat these tournaments like a 400 at Venetian. I said, just like, by the way, I'm like acting in my table presence. And it fucking really worked out. If that was a coincidence, I don't know. But ever since then, I've just been way more like comfortable and more of like myself at the table. And I think that's really important. But as for like playing style, no, if you play the same way as you do in like a big field 1K in a 10K at the studio, like you're just going to be dead. So I definitely do play a little bit different.
So it's interesting because you mentioned Daniel Negreanu, Josh Arieh, who invest in you, and we can touch on this later. But I find the progression interesting because the string of results you've had in lower buy-in events show, to your point, that you've sort of figured out how to be successful in those. You have sort of an idea and understanding of like what works, what doesn't work, and how to sort of go through that minefield type setting. And a player that comes to mind who does this too very well is Helmuth, who really benefits from, players that are recreational, that are just having fun, that at some point will give their chips away. And then for you to then move up through the ranks as your bankroll grows makes total sense from a progression point of view, but from a approach point of view and the way you see poker and the way you see, how do I beat this game, it almost doesn't make sense because that's not what your game is sort of built on. So how did you make that change?
I think a big thing for me in like studio success, just the way that I learn is more like trial and error and playing experience. And also, I used to watch these GG Super Millions final tables. You know what that is?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So these are like the best players in the world, and they post these final tables on YouTube with the cards up, and you just see like every single hand what people are folding and going with in certain spots and whatnot. And I really watched like all of those for a long time. And the types of players in those events are the more of like the studio types, like very studied, calculated. And I honestly think that helped me a lot, as well as just talking with people that play in there through hands as I became more and more friendly with them, and just recognizing like patterns in the way that they play, and just like using logic throughout the hand. Like I think the way that I play is, rather than like, okay, this hand is like a go in this spot, I'm more so like, what can I do to confuse my opponent? Where like okay, this board texture, you're going to want to bet like 30% pot, where I might be like, all right, on this board texture, like maybe I'm going to bet 80% because I want the reaction of like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, that's not a thing. Like, what is he trying to say he has? If you can confuse your opponent, I think, and be like unpredictable, to me, I think that's the hardest to play against, rather than like doing everything like correctly and just playing the same as everybody else, and pretty much just like, I just want to make it a guessing game for my opponent. And I think for me personally, like, that's what fits me well, where for others, maybe that won't work. But just like, I don't know, everybody's a different person and has slightly different style. So I don't know, I think I found what works for me, and I'm always trying to come up with different ideas and whatnot.
When you describe this pivot in playing styles, or this trial and error way of sort of, you know, figuring it out, more or less, you almost make it seem like this is like a simple thing where you have been successful at a certain level, and now we're going to just, you know, go through the next phase and play these higher buy-ins, and I will again, you know, figure it out, which you have. But it's almost like you're underselling whatever the X factor is that you have or you possess or that your mind goes into that allows you to do that. Because the way you describe it, you're almost convincing me that I can go to the studio and figure it out. But that's obviously going to backfire horribly, and my wife would divorce me and we would lose all our money. But in your case, you were able to do that. What gave you the confidence that you could do that?
Man, I really just think like I started, like, I don't know what you know about like my start. Like when I finished college, I really did not have much money at all, and like got offered a job and turned it down to play poker. And like my deal with my mom was if I lost that money, I would get a job. And it was just like back against the wall. Like, I can't lose this money. I'm not sitting in a fucking office every day. Like, I have to play poker. And I just like, basically I just really came from nothing. Like, there was no backup plan. Like, nobody, like, I don't come from money. Like, my family wasn't like, okay, you keep losing, like, here's more, eventually you'll spin it up. So I just had to like figure out ways to win. And I used to just play cash, grinding every day, and eventually just like climbed up the ranks and finally got into tournaments. And I just like, it's really like playing experience and trial and error. Like, I get asked a lot from like mid stakes and low stakes guys for coaching, and I'm really like, I just don't think it would be worth it to you right now. Like, I can't explain sometimes what goes on in my mind. Like, a spot will just come to me and I'll just be like, this guy just doesn't fucking have it. And I really can't explain why. Like, I just go with my gut, and generally I'd like to think it's right. Yeah, like a lot of my thought process, I just can't really explain to people just for whatever reason. Like, I get a feeling like this will work or this won't work or this guy has this or that, and I just trust myself. And I think rather than like second guessing myself, I really just go with what I'm thinking, and I'm not scared to like look like an idiot. I mean, that happens, but I think long term, like, my decisions will just work out profitably.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is probably much more of a personality trait than you might even understand, you know, just from like a poker perspective, because it sounds as though that initial decision to go for it and to play poker was sort of rooted in the same way of thinking, where you would figure it out and you will figure it out because you had the determination and you clearly have the intelligence to try and do that. Is that something you recognize from earlier in your life? Or maybe your mom will say something like, oh yeah, you know, the way that you are now, I saw that growing up. Like, did you attach yourself to certain things and you figured them out on the go? Or maybe poker was the first sort of thing that really clicked for you, but do you have examples of that?
I would just say I was a very big, I mean, it's all relative, but like growing up, let's say middle school, high school, like me and my group of friends, like we're gambling our net worths every day against each other in like whatever game, whether it's like golf, basketball, like shooting dice, like literally anything. And it's just like, I've had it all on the line so many times, just like believing in myself. Like literally we used to just roll one dice, and like the first one to roll the 6 just wins the pot. And we'd have like literally all of our money in the middle of the pool table rolling this dice. And like in my head with the dice in my hand, like it's like, run it again. Like, I'm going to get the fucking 6. Like, and there's no strategy or anything. You just like, I just really like believed in myself. And in those cases, like, it did not work out a lot of the time. But just like feeling like for whatever reason that like I have this edge and like I will like get it done. Like, I don't know, that's just always stuck with me, and I've had to like figure it out, and luckily I've been successful generally.
So let's go back to your cash game era. Was that sort of a linear way to make money where, you know, you found your stakes, you moved up, you know, it was easy enough to play in an environment where, you know, if you have your sort of approach and your determination, you will make money? Or potentially were there massive ups and downs where there were times where you were not sure if it was going to work out?
Well, at first, like in college, so I went to college in Florida, and I grew up gambling with my friends. So when I got to college, I was less than 10 minutes from Hard Rock Casino in Tampa. And me and my friends, I turned my college friends into gamblers that never really gambled before. And all of a sudden now they're degens. And in the casino, to play like Blackjack or roulette, whatever, you need to be 21. But to play poker, you only need to be 18. So initially we went to the casino just looking to gamble, and we couldn't gamble on anything, only poker. So I was almost like forced to, because I just needed to like scratch that itch. I was basically like forced to play poker, and I just really loved it. And initially, obviously, I just lost, but I was playing 1-1, no limit, $100 max. And I think I was coming in for, the minimum was either 40 or 60. I think it was 40. And initially, I was just coming in for the minimum a bunch and just losing every buy-in. And going south sometimes when I needed to make sure I had money to like get a cab back, because I knew I was going to lose in the end. But even then, like, almost like the parlay ticket, like I'm coming in for the minimum, trying to like spin it up, you know, and not risk like a lot, which in that time, like buying in for 100 and just getting stacked right away, like that hurt. Like, I'm a college kid. I saved some money. Like, my mom would make me put away some money when I was in high school. I was a caddy at a golf course, so I was gambling most of it, but some was in the bank, and now I'm using all of that to play poker, and just lost for like a year straight, making excuses to my mom why like I need my savings from saving up my whole life. Just, I used to tell her anything because they were very anti-gambling, and they knew that I was a gambler in high school. I'm saying like, yeah, it's my friend's birthday, we went to the strip club and I fucking dusted off 500. Like, that's better than telling my mom I'm playing poker at the casino. So yeah, I just was kind of forced to play poker when I went to the casino, and I fell in love with it, and eventually just started winning and moved to 1-2 and then 2-5, 5-10, etc.
Was there like a light bulb moment where things turned, or did you perhaps talk to the right person, or was there you mentioned like, watching a lot of content. Was there a progression that you can sort of root into a certain point?
After college, I started playing at Resorts World Catskills in New York. My family's from New York, so I moved back to New York after I graduated and was trying to spin up this little money that I had to support myself. I was living at home, and in 10 months, I spun it to like, let's say a little bit under 100K, just from like, I don't know, I didn't really have expenses. I stopped, like, I was watching high stakes poker, like PokerGO, whatever YouTube poker there was. I was just nonstop watching it when I wasn't playing. And everyone's so big on the like bankroll management. I'm watching whatever sort of videos. And I'm like, just the action in Florida was much better than New York. And I got really motivated to like save up and go back down to Florida. My best friend from college had an extra year of college. He played lacrosse, had an extra year of eligibility. So like, I wanted to go down there with him and just hang out and play poker every day. And I got motivated to like just have like some sort of bankroll management where it wasn't just about playing. It was about making money so that I had enough to like go down there. And yeah, I don't know. I think that motivated me. And then when I started to make money, I didn't like want to spend it. I just wanted it so that I could play bigger stakes. And yeah, that's really what I was motivated by, was getting my own place down in Tampa.
How do you go from hiding from your family that you're, spending money or losing money playing poker, to then coming to them saying, look, I've won all this money playing poker? Was there, a moment where you had to come clean, that oh mom, sorry, I never went to the strip club, this was all poker money, but now look at me now, I'm doing great? Do you remember perhaps that conversation?
Well, I actually didn't admit to my mom that I was playing as much as I was in college until maybe a couple of years ago. So I think she always knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, she knew. What can she say if she sees my bank account going up and me being able to support myself? She made very clear when I did choose to play poker that, not that my family has money, but she's my mom. So let's say I was ever dead broke, you would think your parents would take you in or whatever. But she's if you're choosing to gamble for a living rather than take a job, I won't be helping you out financially at all. So initially, I believe I needed to borrow I was playing $300 max after college, and I think I got down to a couple buy-ins left, and I was I always came in for the max. I was Mom, just please let me have $100 or something, just so I'm prepared if I need to rebuy. And she gave me that 100 or whatever it was, and was never again, I'm not giving you anything. And I ended up spinning it up, and I gave her back, I think I double. She gave me 100, I gave her back 2, and was thank you. They weren't thrilled with it, but what can they say when they see me supporting myself and they're not giving me any money for anything, and I'm getting my own place? They know how much I love it. What can they really say?
Was there a moment where she realized that you were not just paying the bills, but you were actually becoming kind of a star in the game, or you picked up some notoriety or some level of poker celebrity, if you will? Because, your name hit my radar many years ago when you were still just, playing the dailies, and that became almost like a meme.
It's not that many, though. It was literally, I moved to Vegas. You didn't know who I was when I lived in Florida.
Right.
And I didn't move to Vegas. I moved here 3 years and 2 months ago, I think it was. So it wasn't many years ago. It was, I believe, I moved at the beginning of March 2023 or end of February 2023. And before that, my parents were on board, but they always they did not think it was for sure gonna work out. Always in the back of my mom's mind is just maybe it would be better if you got a job. Before I moved here, it was in January of 2023. I believe I won a $400 tournament for $35K or something. And honestly, if I didn't win that tournament, I was honestly thinking of getting some sort of secondhand income, just not necessarily taking a job, but just this tournament thing just is fucking brutal. I felt I'm getting fucked in every deep tournament. Now I'm playing 200s and 400s with sub 10K up top typically, but I just never seem to get first or second, and it's really hard to beat low stakes tournaments with rake and whatnot. I just remember I went down to Miami where the other Hard Rock is, and I remember thinking if this series doesn't work out, I'm just going back to playing cash and maybe getting some sort of job.
Wow.
And then I won that, and it was just a complete 180, okay, fuck it, I'm going to Vegas, let's play these tournaments.
That's so insane. And I'm looking at your results now, and it's actually kind of funny because I never fully realized how many cashes you already had just in Florida, playing the sort of the smaller buy-in tournaments there.
The 180 triple stack. That was
that was your thing.
That was the tournament every day, pretty much, yeah.
But then, as you describe this, that sounds like an enormous break-even stretch where you're just in the washing machine, where you're just sort of spun around every single day, and you're keeping your head just above the water until that one score comes.
I wouldn't say break even stretch, like I was definitely making money and I'm also playing cash. Like I would bust this tournament and like I'm jumping straight into 2-5, 5-10, whatever's going on. But I mean, playing low stakes like that with like my sort of lifestyle, just like I'm not shy about like spending money. It's definitely tough to like save anything when you're playing that small. And if you go on like cold streaks or something, like it's not like you just stop spending money, like you have to live. Yeah, I mean, I was literally playing every day, all day. Like this 180 was at like 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm going to the casino at 11 a.m. I'm grinding cash for 6-7 hours. Then I'm going to eat and jump in the tournament. And then after the tournament, I'm going to play cash a couple more hours every day. Just like trying to just make money as well as like get playing experience. Like I fucking love sitting at the table and playing, especially if like everyone's talking, having a good time.
I mean, you have to love it if you are that committed. And I mean, hours-wise, the guys who play online, you know, they'll rival you. You know, they play every single day too. But the fact that you chose this pathway, it says a lot about your personality, because you could have also just found some location where grinding online is available and put in the hours there. There's plenty of stories of those people. Did it ever cross your mind that that would be both a good proving ground, a good place to get a lot of volume in, and perhaps to have, you know, lower expenses and just make money that way?
No, I've never had any interest playing on the computer. For me, there's something just about like seeing the person and like being there physically and just, I mean, this probably sounds stupid, but just like feeling like the vibes of the person and like their energy. Like, I really think that's like a big thing. Like if there's some guy sitting at the table and he's just talking about how unlucky he is, like that's the guy I want to be all in against. Like, you know, I'm sitting next to Aram Zobian one day. This guy can't lose an all in. Like the way he's tabling his cards, like he just can't lose. Like there's just something about energy, and it's like if I have a close spot and like he's all in with cards to come, like I'm just not going to take it. And then there's like another guy saying like how unlucky he is, and there's a close spot where like I could pass, I could go with it, like we're going to run it. And like I just really am a big believer in that, and for whatever reason I think it's like true. Like energy is very real, and I don't think you can feel that through like any computer screen.
Well, on the subject of energy, I've been around the studio plenty of times where your energy seems to be all over the place, and I've also come across your share of frustration as, you know, you get eliminated or you get bad beat, or, you know, at the final table things don't work out. You also live it. Like you live the tournament experience in a way that most people would say for a professional that's like unhealthy. But you almost seem to like need that in order to make it count, or make you perform at your best when you care that much.
I think I really lately, I shouldn't even say lately, I don't know, last year or so, it just so happens like variance is very real. I've played a handful of 25Ks, and all of them but one, I've been all in pre-flop with aces or kings or pair over pair, whatever the case is, for like infinite chips and just never won. Like I've just gotten fucked in the biggest like buy-in spots of like my young poker career in these big buy-ins. And I think part of it is like I'm sitting there like, come on, hold, no king, or like whatever it is, where like the people that I've lost to just so happen to be like easygoing, played like 100Ks, 200Ks, whatever the case may be. And like, not that they don't care, but like it's just another all in for them, no matter the buy-in. Where if I'm playing like an 1100, like obviously I want to win, but like I'm not sweating the run out. Like it's not that I don't care. It's just like whatever. I've done this thousands of times. I've only been all in like these really big buy-ins for me a few times, and like have really wanted to win. And for some reason, like I've just gotten fucked in pretty much all of them. Not that like I go in saying like, oh my God, I'm all in with aces again, like I'm so unlucky. But rather than just like sitting back and just watching the run out, in my head, I'm like, no king, like don't fuck me like this again. Like, and I don't know, there's just something to that, I think. So I'm really trying hard not to sweat these all-ins in these bigger buy-ins. My mindset, I think, is actually very bad the way that I think about all-ins. Like, if you're a professional, let's say I'm all in with you and I'm 80%, you're 20%, and like I lose. I think the mindset should be like, oh, nothing I can do, like I did my job, like on to the next. Where like, that's what really tilts me. Where like, if I make a mistake, like let's say I run a bad bluff or like I make a bad call, like that doesn't tilt me because like that's my mistake. And like, rather than being fucked by the deck, like I lost this tournament because I made a bad decision. And like, I can live with that because I think it can be fixed. Where I think most pros' mindsets are the opposite, where like if it's their mistake, they're going to be pissed off and that's going to tilt them. Where I'm the complete opposite, where like I'm tilted when like I did everything good, put myself in a great position to get all the chips and I got fucked. That's what, like I'll be driving home like, fuck this. Where like if it's my fault, I literally forget about it a minute later. Like I know I can fix it. That's fine.
Yeah. That's so wild because you do describe exactly what most poker pros usually say, where you know it's out of my hands now.
Yeah, I think you said you're gonna have Chewy on here at some point, right? Like I'm sure Chewy's very like at peace, like I made the right decision, like oh well, see you again tomorrow. Where like I'm the complete opposite. And yes, you said that you've seen like, let's say I get fucked in a big hand. I'm like, oh, fuck this. Like, but it's all, not that it's a bit.
Right.
But it's like, I'm joking around. Like, I'm not actually like, oh my God, I never fucking win this. Like, I'm just fucking around. Like, I'm just, I don't know. It's like hard on my sleeve. Like, I'm not actually like, I shouldn't say I'm not tilted, but I'm not actually like, when I say like, when will it end or whatever, that like, that's not real. Like, I know I've been fortunate in life,
right.
You know, like, I mean, it was, I don't know, let's say a little less than 10 years ago, I have a couple $1,000s to my name, like buying in for $100. Like now I'm playing $10,000 tournaments, you know? So like the when will it end? Like I'm very fortunate, and I know that
it's probably not ending anytime soon. I think you're too committed to the bit. To the
no,
bit,
I hope
also...
it does end. Like I'm very trying to be positivity. I'm gonna win this all in. But like when I get fucked, like you're gonna know it.
That's good though. And the one thing people have to realize when you're in the studio and these guys are playing on day one, it's Jeremy Becker just leading the circus. And you're walking between the tables, you're engaging with everyone, you've become friends with all these guys, and it seems like such a casual atmosphere. And that is something that's, I think, often not understood from the outside, is how incredibly casual these 10K plus buy-ins are. Because I also, go to Venetian all the time, and it feels like the WSB main event final table, like on day one of a 400. And in the studio, it looks like I'm walking into a home game. What is that about?
So I think in the studio, it's going to be either like you're a very successful poker professional that like just plays these 10Ks all the time and you're like proven, you have investors believing in you to play these tournaments, or you just have the money yourself, or you're just going to be like a very well off like businessman that's in there like having fun, like. And those are really, I can't really think of another player type. Correct me if you think otherwise.
Right. I think you're right, yeah.
And so all of the professionals, like, have played poker long enough where, like, when you lose an 80-20, like, no one's going to slam the table and be like, what the fuck? How do you call there? Like, it's literally just, like, knock on the table, like, good game. Like, I'm fucking rebuying, see you soon. And it's just laughs. Or it's, like, the wealthy business guy who's like, that was a blast, that's poker, like, see you guys later. Where when you go to, like, Venetian and play, like, an 800 or whatever it is,
it's life or death.
Yeah, like, whether it's just people don't have the experience to, like, know just how often the best hand doesn't win, or you're playing with the guy who, like, never wins the flip. People are just more miserable generally at lower stakes. Like, I don't know if it's because the money means more relatively, or if it's just lack of poker experience and not understanding like the total variance in tournament poker or what it is. But it's definitely, there's no atmosphere in the United States like the PokerGO Studio when you're in a tournament. I mean, it's not even close. It's very tough tournaments, like it's big buy-ins, but everyone's like friendly. There's really nobody. I can't think of one person who's just like bad energy. Like, you can look at someone losing every day and they're just going to be smiling in the studio because like it's such a great playing experience. Where, I mean, you play like I don't know, Win 1K, Venetian 1K. Like, these places are great, but there's always going to be a couple people at the table that like I think have victim mentality, which you cannot win if you have that, in my opinion. If I assume you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny because the way you say it too is that you sometimes sort of play the victim almost as like a meme.
Yeah,
but for those people, it's like real emotion.
Yeah, like you'll hear me say like I'll get fucked in it all, and oh my god, how do I never win? But like I'm just joking. Like it's fine. That's part of the game. Like, I'm gonna win some, I'm gonna lose some. Where like this guy loses ace king versus queens at Venetian, and he's like, I don't know why I play these fucking tournaments. It just comes down to a flip. I never win. Like, and he's being like dead serious, and he's probably driving home like on the phone with his wife. Like, I'm done with these tournaments. It's such bullshit. Like, these people are so lucky. Where like you're just playing poker. Like, sometimes the math doesn't seem like it's like mathing. I'm sure I've said I used to think. And in these bigger buy-ins, it just so happens in like these 25Ks, I can't win when I'm 80% for a lot of chips. But like, I know it's just random. Like, I'm not the most unlucky person in the world. Like, it all generally somewhat evens out in the end, I would like to think, you know?
I'd like to pivot sort of away from the poker table a little bit, because you've fostered some friendships that started at the poker table, and then you guys take that outside of poker.
Yeah.
And when I was coming into poker, that was golf. That's all people talked about. Golf here, golf there.
Big golf game tomorrow, actually.
There we go. Let's get into it. But also, the thing that I'm so curious about is the bowling, because of all the things that I would have guessed that you guys would get into, bowling would have been super low on the list. I need to hear the lore of how the high stakes poker community became obsessed with bowling. Where did that start?
It probably was during a PokerGo series, honestly. Just, you know, you bust out at 7, 8 o'clock. You're jonesing for some action. And I mean, it's dark out. Like, what sort of... You got a bunch of poker players. I think to be a successful, like, poker tournament player, you have to have some sort of, like, gamble in you, I feel like. Like, you have to take, like, the small edges. Like, you're going to flip a lot. Like, you can't... I don't think there's a poker player playing in like the studio, like a successful professional playing high stakes, that generally will ever be in a spot and be like, I can't take this flip here, you know, like, let me just find chips in a better spot. Like, that's more of like and I've said shit or thought things like this in like a big field, lower stakes tournament for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to have some gamble in you to play poker tournaments. And you bust out, let's say you bust out of a PokerGo 10K twice in a day, and now it's 8 o'clock and you're fucking steaming. Like, you want some action. You're trying to get some money back. I mean, how many, like, sort of athletic thing, even if it's not athletic, just something to, like, gamble on that you can, like, participate in are there? Like, there's really not that many. It's dark out, so all outside things are pretty much done. But it was during one of these series. It was like, let's go bowl at Red Rock. Like, a bunch of people live in Summerlin that play these tournaments. And it really just became a thing. Like, the first couple weeks, we're all using house balls. Nobody's that good. All of a sudden, one or two guys start showing up with their own balls.
So okay, let's paint this picture here.
There was betting from day one.
Okay, betting from day one, but like, describe the scene. I've been to Red Rock Bowling. Like, you guys just like show up, you guys get a few lanes, and you start throwing some balls. And are people already trying to hustle and see who's got some talent? And then at what point does, you know, whoever this person was show up with their own ball, and you're like, okay, now it's on, and now everyone's getting their own stuff?
So I would actually say, as much as people are like gambling, the whole group, which is pretty much like PokerGo regulars for the most part, everyone's friendly, and I would say there's a level of trust between everyone where, like, I really don't think anybody would ever, like, hustle anybody in this group. Like, it's not like you hear that story where these guys are swapping in the tournament in the old days, but like one of them didn't even join the tournament, the other already busted. Like, nobody's like trying to like angle anybody out of money. Like, there's a lot of trust. I would say everyone generally like has been bowling before, so would have some sort of estimate of what they're gonna get. And originally we'd have a sheet, pen and paper. We'd make random teams using an RNG, like random number generator, like let's say 4 highest numbers on one team, 4 lowest, and we'd handicap our scores. Like, what do you think you're going to get? And then let's say like my handicap is 180 and I bowl like a 183. I'd be +3 for the team.
Right.
Is how it initially started.
And who's in the core bowling group? Which players?
Well, now it's like 20 people.
All right, let's hear some.
Let's say I mean, do you want to just say some? If you pretty much I don't want to say everyone. I don't know, 20 guys that play PokerGO every day. Like,
right.
Let's say Nick Seward, Michael Burke, Jesse Lonis, Bucky, Nick Schulman, Chewy, Eric Baldwin, Miles Mullally, Jim Colopy. You could dish out some names. I mean, there's 20 and I named 9.
It's already a phenomenal crew.
I mean, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank, but everybody. Darren Rabinowitz, Danny Sepiel. You got any names for me? I'm sure they're there.
I've never been invited, but I'd love to come watch. This
I'll
sounds
add you
phenomenal.
to the chat. I mean, it's literally 19 or 20 names.
Right.
I'm just
So you guys started with like teams with your handicaps.
It started random teams. We'd have our handicaps, and if you beat your handicap, you're plus that amount for the team. Initially, it was like 500 a man on teams, but then obviously there's side action. You know, you got me and Jesse there, and Jesse's like, who wants to bet me individually? And like, we both grew up like athletes playing sports. Like, I'm not going to say no. Like, how's he going to beat me?
Right.
So like, let's say my handicap is like 5 better than him. I'm spotting him 5. So we also will have that bet. And then everybody just, man, literally everybody just bets everybody. It's pretty,
How loud does it get?
When me or Burke get a strike, the whole bowling alley hears it for sure. I would say then it became, I'm not going to name their name, but somebody thought, you know what? There's so much action getting down. Like, let's really make this, make this legit. Well, we are in a league, but also, oh, hold on. I didn't name Ryan Reese before. He fucking bowled the perfect game. So Ryan Reese is there.
Were there some multipliers attached to the payout that he received?
I'll say, luckily, I wasn't there that night. But a lot of side action. Somebody created like a bowling sports book where, oh yeah, and also the handicaps were adjusted each game. So let's say someone...
You track, you know?
I mean, you just bowl with everybody. We'd get a few... Oh, Sean Winter, big bowler. You just see how everyone's bowling and the handicaps get adjusted, so it's always fair. Sam Laskowitz is there. I'm just popping out these names that I forgot. Nobody's hustling anybody.
Right.
It's all very fair, 0 EV gambling. And but somebody created a bowling book where everyone has like an over-under. David Coleman was there. You have an over-under. You have matchups. So like Ryan being the best bowler. Let's say he's versing like, Big Hooney. Let's say he's versing Big Hooney, right? This actually, I'm not going to say who. Someone got buried on a game like this. Ryan Reese is like a -600 favorite versus Hooney, straight up. Like, you can also bet on Hooney plus 500 or whatever with this guy who's making the book. Somebody took Ryan pretty big one game, and it did not work out for them.
Wow.
So you can just bet on anything at the bowling alley, and it became really big. And bowling just became a thing, like, I don't want to say every night, but a few times a week, where just after the tournaments, if people have busted, still looking for action, like, we're going to the bowling alley. Like, we're having a good time at the bowling alley. Bowling, betting, it got so big that people that were still in the tournament or have a wife or something and couldn't get out of the house that night, we were live streaming it, so you can still get action down on the book if you weren't there betting on whoever. And it just, it became like a really big thing.
That's incredible. So do you go out and like, when there's no bowling night, you go out and throw some balls just to stay sharp?
Me personally, I don't do that. It's just like, I don't know. I just have a fun time going with my friends, like betting on team versus team or myself versus them. But there are definitely some guys, I'm not going to call them out, who have like gotten lessons. Like,
wow.
Yeah, people
It
are
truly
about their money.
It starts to look like the golf of the early 2000s, you know, and before.
Yeah. Now everybody is much better now than we were at the start. Everyone, you see us walking into the bowling alley, everyone's wheeling in their balls. Everyone's got shoes. Like,
it's like Reservoir Dogs.
It's honestly like funny. I mean, I used to, if you asked me like a year ago, like, oh yeah, Jesse's walking into a bowling alley with his own ball, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, no, he's not. Stop. Like, I wouldn't believe it. And now every single person has their own stuff, and like, they're really into it. I mean, a new ball's coming out that they think's going to get them 10 pins more. Like, they're going to get it. I promise.
This is incredible. This is honestly one of my favorite sort of side shows when I'm at the studio. And I just like overhear
a lot of bowling talk.
The bowling talk.
Yeah.
And at first I thought you guys were kidding. And
no,
it's actually legit.
It is for real, yeah.
I love it. Well, hopefully we'll get some footage of that one day. I'm sure there's lots of footage that we can't use because there's some shenanigans happening.
Yeah, a lot of stuff maybe not for TV going on out there.
It is fantastic though. How you guys like have built like a big camaraderie, even though you guys battle each other for thin edges at the poker table.
It really is crazy to think about because we're playing like these big buy-in tournaments. It's our job to play. Yeah. We want to beat each other, but like off the table, even on the table, like friendly wise, like everyone, I don't know, everybody just gets along, and it's much better this way. I mean, if we didn't like each other, it would be sitting at the table like at the Venetian maybe. No one would be talking. Instead, we're at the table having a good time, like talking shit. Like, I mean, someone makes like a bad call on the river or something and double someone up. Like, you might hear like someone throw in like a good call, like jokingly, just like, and it really does make it way more fun. But it is crazy to like think about, like, we're playing these guys for so much money, but we all really want to see each other do well. Is it possible for everyone to do well? Like, I don't know in the long run, but like, I'm not going to ever anti-sweat somebody that I'm like friends with. Like, obviously I want to beat them, but if I'm not like at the table against them, like, I want to see them do well, truly.
Where do you feel like, and this is maybe a little bit of a hard pivot, but where do you feel like you stand in sort of that PGT hierarchy? You know, the PGT probably the best way to sort of look at who's doing it year round, who's going to the places to, you know, gather points. And the reason I say this is because you said in the 25Ks you haven't been that lucky yet, but it also shows me that you want to make more of an effort to play those and take those chances. Yeah. So where do you feel like you stand right now within that ecosystem, and are there next steps to take? Is there a vision for where you want to ultimately end up? Because to me, the comfort level that you've now sort of created for yourself in the studio just means that this is now the life for however long you're able to do this. But how do you see that?
I would say, like, if I sit down at any like big field event, like, I'm going to think I'm like one of the best in the tournament for sure. When you come to the studio, like, it's everybody is good for the most part. And I think I try to portray, like, not like I'm hustling or something, but like, I don't know if I've done it, but I like to think that I have like a pretty, not whaley, but more so like just a I don't give a fuck like attitude. And I think that suits me well. And like, there's some truth to it, but like, I wouldn't be sitting at the table if like I thought I was losing money. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, poker's my job, and I'll sit at a table with pretty much anyone and feel like I'm winning. And I've had some success, and I shouldn't say some success, like, I've done very well, and I hope to only improve. Now, I would say generally how I approach like a PokerGO series is pretty much anything 10K and under. Like, if I'm in town, I'm going to be playing. The only way not is, let's say, like, I'm breaking out a series so far, and maybe there's some, like, big field, like, 1600 at, like, Winter Venetian, and I've just had a bad series. Like, maybe I would skip the last couple 10Ks or something to play that. But generally, like, I'd much prefer to just be in all the 10Ks and under, and it's my favorite place to play. I'm winning there. Like, I've done well. And I also think, like, in some pretty big spots, I've, like, gotten unlucky. So, like, I think I should even be, like, winning more. But when it comes to higher than 10K, it's really, like, if I'm having a good series, like, sure, I'll fire it. But, like, if I'm not just going to automatically sit just because, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm very, like, financially responsible where I'm not going to, like, just if I'm not feeling great, like, I'm not going to play something above 10K. Where, like, when I sit at a 10K and look around, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to win today. So, hopefully, like, in the future, that 10K goes up to, like, 25K or 50K where, like, if it's running, I'm in, you know? At this time, like, I feel very comfortable 10K and under. And, yeah, hopefully I feel the same about bigger buy-ins in the future.
It's funny you say financially responsible because to many who would listen to you talk about gambling on bowling and having this sort of, you know, c'est la vie attitude about poker from time to time, sort of tied into you bringing up the fact that you've always loved gambling, you guys are throwing dice. There's the famous story, and you can get into it, about how Blackjack sort of nearly ended you financially. So has that been lessons learned? Have you always been conservative, but you allow yourself to sort of step outside of that? How do you approach that? Because you also mentioned, you know, Josh and Daniel investing in you. So there's a lot of things coming together here all at the same time. How do you juggle that?
Well, I would say before, like, I was not financially set, but, like, before I ever had, like, I don't know, like, real money where, like, I don't need to, like, worry about, like, rent for, like, a month or something. Like, I would have bankroll on the table at any point. Or, like, now that I'm way more comfortable and, like, have a, like, money in the bank where, like, I'm not worrying about, like, paying my bills or anything. I never want that to change, so I would say I'm definitely more responsible now, where in the past, like, I could just be broke the next day. So I never want that to ever be a thing again. So I would say, also, like, I don't have, like I said, like, I don't come from money. Like, there's no, like, backup. Like, if poker doesn't work out, it's not like I'm going to, like, work for some family business. Like, there is no backup. So I can't, like, just lose everything that I have and, like, feel like it's going to be okay, because it probably wouldn't be. So,
and then the Blackjack story real quick. Might that have been a bit of a turning point? And explain what happened there.
So this was, like, right after college. I graduated. I went back to New York for, like, 10, 11 months. And then I got a place in Florida on my own. And I want to say I lost, like, almost 80% of what I had within, like, the first month, like, dabbling in blackjack. Like, I just randomly played one night after winning huge in a cash session, and just got buried and was chasing it for, like, a week and just kept digging myself a deeper hole, and then had to, like, drop down in stakes. And yeah, that was brutal. And I didn't touch a blackjack table or really anything in the pit for the longest time. And I would say now, actually, not when, like, poker's going on, but, like, when there's really no poker, like, let's say we're bowling, me and a couple guys might try to hit them hard at the blackjack table and try to spin it up. But, like, it's really just, like, a fun thing to do with friends for entertainment. Like, I'm not trying to grind.
Right.
Like, I'm not chasing any sort of money. Like, so, like, I can play from time to time now, but it's way different. Like, I didn't play for fucking years because, like, I was scared, like, I would just lose all my fucking money again. And honestly, it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, because I was able to, like, treat poker more so as, like, a job and put money away and not blow it in the pit. Where now, like, I would say, like, maybe I have a little, like, gambling stash, and after bowling, me and a couple guys might be like, let's fucking get them tonight. And we'll just chop the action 3 or 4 ways and just, like, play some blackjack, but it's totally for fun. And it's rare. And yeah, so I shouldn't say, like, I'll never play again, but it's a different type of play.
Right. So then the progression as far as buy-in levels go, did you need that support from Daniel and Josh to accomplish that? Were you so comfortable that there was really no need to move up? Or was there an urge to perhaps try and battle those guys, and that support was necessary to feel comfortable?
Like, as far as 10Ks and whatnot go?
Yeah.
So I would say initially when me and Daniel started, or me, Daniel, and Josh, it was just for the World Series. This was, I believe it was my first year here, so 3 years ago. And I'd always talk to like mid-stakes friends that I had who were backed, and just all of them were in the same headspace, like, oh my God, if I win this, I don't even get any money. Like, they all just sounded like they weren't like having a great time with the whole backing. So I was almost like not super excited to get into it, but like, this is Daniel Negreanu and Josh Arieh. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, actually, I'm good. I'm going to stick to my 200s and 400s this summer. So initially, it like, how backing works is, let's say like you play a 2K and you lose like your 2K makeup. And like, you're always in makeup. Like you lose one tournament, you're now in makeup. And then whenever you're up, so let's say the next tournament's a 1K and I cash for 5. We're in for 3K, so I would pay back the 3, and then you chop the remaining 2, is how it works. And now you're back to 0. So I would say initially, like, I don't know, I would be in like, I remember I was like $2,700 in makeup, which is literally nothing, like less than a buy-in now. And I would be like, oh my God, the second I get even, like, I'm out of here, like, I can't do this. And so that first summer, I was a little like iffy about it, and I didn't love it. And after the summer, he offered me to like continue it. And I was like, you know what? I appreciate it so much, but like, I just don't think it's for me. Like, it was just kind of messing with me mentally. I was almost scared to play my game and potentially bust because I didn't want like to be another $1,000 in makeup. A few months passed by. I think it was about to be like, people were bringing up like the Win December and like all these great events there were going to be. And I'm like looking and I'm seeing, I don't really remember what my bankroll was at the time, but I'm like, man, you know, it would be nice to have that backing right now. So I texted Daniel and Josh again like a few months later and was like, hey, like, can we continue? Like, is this offer still good? And luckily for me, they were still down with it, and we've just continued ever since. And it's just really nice knowing, like, let's say I would play like a 10K, which would be super rare. Like, let's say it's like the main event. I don't know, my friends would have like 5% each. Like, I would probably only play like one bullet. Like, I'm trying to be responsible. And I mean, if you're in a tournament that like you're not comfortable potentially rebuying, like, I just truly think, unless it's like a freeze out, like, you're just drawing dead. Like, you can't be scared to bust. Like, sometimes like going for this bluff or like being all in this spot is just the right move. And if it doesn't work out, like, you have to be willing to try again. The first PokerGO tournament that I won, it was a 10K for $255,000. And like, I remember just running some like absurd bluff. I want to say it was like while registration was open for like stacks. And luckily he folded the river. And it was like pretty pivotal for me because I got short near the bubble. But like, you need chips to like win tournaments. So you need to like chip up, or else like you're gonna lose all ins. So you want to, when you do lose, you want to still be in the tournament. But I just remember, like, let's say I was playing this on my own, like, I would not have went for this bluff, and I wouldn't have had the chips to like survive the bubble and then like later win the tournament. But me knowing like, okay, if this doesn't work out, like, I'm just gonna rebuy. Like, I think that's very crucial. Like, I think it's an advantage having a lot of money behind you where they trust your game, and like, you can just rebuy if it doesn't work out. Like, that's okay. You don't need to like worry about, oh, this guy had 5%. Like, is he in for a second bullet? Like, oh, fuck, do I really want to rebuy? Like, my bills are so expensive. Like, I could use this 10K. Like, I just don't think you can win like this long term if you're thinking like that. So for me to have Daniel and Josh behind me with a very good amount of money, I would think, and them trusting like my thought process and playing, like, I think that's crucial for me. And I definitely would not have the success that I've had in like mid and high stakes.
What do you think it initially was that made Daniel believe in you? Because obviously there was the big battle, you and Landon Tice, the studying versus more the sort of live player approach, if you want to put it that way. But do you think there was a specific conversation you had or a specific moment that made him sort of think like, oh, Jeremy is the guy I have to get behind? Because in a way...
Well, the bet with Landon was a year after I'd already been with Daniel and Josh, which I think people don't know. So, I mean, I used to, like we still do now, but it's obviously, Daniel's super into like golfing and he was playing way more when we started. We used to talk fucking poker hands. Any like spot that I had or even they had, like we would just text in a group chat and get each other's opinions. And I think just doing that for like a year made him like believe in my thought process and whatnot.
It's interesting because I also assumed that the Landon thing sort of kicked all this stuff off, but it was
a year prior. Yeah,
That's...
I won a bunch of like those lower buy-ins at Win and Venetian, and they would post your winner's photo. And so I have a theory that I don't even know is true. Daniel tweeted like, "Oh my God, is this kid like the next like big thing in poker? Like I know it's low buy-ins, but this is like unheard of," or whatever the tweet was. But what I found out later was, I believe Josh was the best man at his friend's wedding who I had played a decent amount of cash with in Florida. And I didn't know this. I found this out later. Or maybe the other way around. The guy was the best man at Josh's wedding, something like this. And I'm going to assume they did some sort of background information on me, like whether it's talking with people I've played with about like my character or my play or whatever it was. Because I mean, right away when me and Daniel started, the first time I met him was when he like dropped me off money for the World Series. And like, it was a decent amount of money. Like, this is big trust. Like,
right.
Who's to say I'm not taking this fucking money and just getting out of town or something, And like, no questions on like, initially I think I could play like, I don't remember, maybe it was like 5K and under or something. Just no questions asked, and if I wanted to play like a 10 to ask him, where, I mean, you got to have a lot of trust, I would think, and we just texted, or called, we hadn't like met yet. Yeah, so I'm going to assume they like did their due diligence behind the scenes. So my theory is that like Josh set all of this up and knew that I wouldn't be able to like say no to Daniel because they're like great friends, business partners, whatever it may be. But honestly, I've never even talked to them about it. So I don't know like what made Daniel put out that tweet and get in contact with me.
It's so fascinating how you sort of paved your own way with those results. You got noticed, and you didn't just get noticed by, a random scout on the sidelines. No, it was like Daniel Negreanu.
Yeah.
Maybe whether it was through Josh or not, they were obviously like very close friends. But if you sort of think back of your poker fan self back in the day, to then land in that position, it must be pretty surreal.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I didn't believe it. I was playing basketball. I'd only been in Vegas like a month or two before like he contacted me. And I remember I finished playing and I looked at my phone and I had like all these messages from multiple people being like, "Did you see Daniel's tweet?" And like, I thought like someone's running some sort of bit on me. Like, I didn't understand. Like, what are you talking about? They were like, "Look." And he basically said what I said before about it being like impressive, and
I remember the tweet.
Yeah, he offered me like a stake for the WSOP, which was like a month or two later, and we just like talked before then and got comfortable with each other, I think. And yeah, I mean, the rest is history, and gladly it's really worked out. And I mean, if I came to Vegas playing $200 and $400 tournaments, like literally just trying to get by, and now like, for instance, I'm playing golf with Daniel, Josh, and Danny Sepiel tomorrow. We're going to be gambling, I'm sure. And like, then the World Series is coming up, and I could pretty much play any event I want, in part to Daniel and Josh. And it's like, if you told me this a few years ago, like it truly wouldn't even be believable. Like, I'd be like, good one, like, see you at the Win 600. Like, but now like I can just play a 10K and I'm golfing with fucking Daniel and Josh, who when I was getting into poker, I'm watching them on fucking TV playing. And yeah.
Let's also establish for the viewers at home that you are probably talking just as much shit to Daniel and Josh on the golf course or at the poker table, because you're friends with these guys now. It's no longer that they are somewhere out there and you're this guy who is just getting started. You're one of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not like in their class. Like their careers, like they're like poker Hall of Famers. Like I've said it a bunch. Like I think the Michael Jordan of poker. So like obviously nowhere like near that status, but yeah, like it's not crazy that like I can sit in a golf cart with Daniel and like just be talking about life with him. Like we're like somewhat like business partners, I would say, and like also friends. Like if I ever needed something, like whether it's financial or like just about life, like I believe that he would be there for me. And like that's just crazy to think about, because he's like, when I was getting into poker, like watching him was like, I'm very into basketball, would be like watching Michael Jordan. Like, I can't imagine like being like this with Michael Jordan. And it's really the same thing. It's crazy that I have him as a person to like just be with me along the way and help me out. Like I wouldn't be in the position I am without him, for sure.
I want to wrap up with this, and it's been a super interesting conversation, but with how you've seemingly have unlocked something new every single year or made some sort of progression, where do you see this going? Where do you want this to go? Do you see yourself as like a lifer in this world? Your passion for the game, has almost no equal because of how much time you put in at the live felt, which not many people can stomach for that many years. So how does the poker life of Jeremy Becker evolve from here on out?
I would say, and I've definitely made an effort to do this in playing much less low stakes poker, really making an effort to play just like the good mid stake stuff and higher buy-in stuff, because I truly do like want to be one of the best at this level. And to me, like I think experience is worth a ton. And that's really the only way I'm going to be able to do it. People used to ask me, let's say like a year ago, oh, do you ever see yourself like going to like an EPT or going to like Trident, just basically like traveling the world playing? And I was like, no, like, dude, I live 2 minutes from the casino in Vegas. Like, I'm just going to play sports, like gamble on some basketball, like, and play poker. And now, like I could see myself playing Tridents one day or going to like Barcelona for like a big series. Like I've never really cared what people think, and I really do try to like portray like not a whaling mentality, but just like, oh, I don't care, haha, like I don't fucking know what these charts say. And like that's true, but like I don't know, let's say in like 20, 30 years, like I would like to be talked about as like one of the best poker players there were. And I think to do that, like, I just need to play bigger and bigger. And obviously, I would like to get, like, rich from poker. That would be great, like, playing a fucking game that I love. But, yeah, like, I'm not trying to just hit and run poker, make millions, and then just, like, leave on some island. Like, I'm trying to make all that money so that I can play bigger and bigger tournaments. Basically, just, like, reinvesting in myself on the poker table. And, so yeah, I just want to play more high-stakes poker and almost have a reputation in these fields like I do in like mid-stakes, low-stakes fields.
I just want to go on the record here that I want to purchase the rights to Jeremy Becker Goes to Europe, if that becomes a documentary, because that would be a phenomenal watch.
There'd be some material there.
We might have to put it behind the paywall for...
I mean, if I'm sitting at the table with some Euro who's fucking... waiting till 1 second on the clock left to make every action, he's going to hear it from me. Like, as much as I try to be nice and friendly with everyone, the unnecessary tanking is not for me, and apparently there's a lot of that out there, so... Yeah.
Well, you did not hesitate for 1 second to answer any of these questions. I really appreciate it. Jeremy Becker, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. The very first in this series. We'll have weekly episodes. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that good stuff. Follow Jeremy on the socials. We'll have links in the description. And all that rests me to say is, go win a bracelet or something.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm going to have a good amount of money down on myself this summer. I'm going to try
to... Oh, prop bets, side bets? What's going on?
Yeah, just I'm into the whole fantasy league that Daniel runs. I'll have some side bets on myself, just like winning a bracelet versus others. Every year I've said like, I mean, I say every year, it's been 3 years. Like, oh, I want to play WSOP. And then a couple of days in, I'm like, okay, I'm going to the win. Just like the whole playing experience. But now I'm playing bigger. They have the app. You're not waiting around on these lines like you were. Generally, you get better like dealers in the higher buy-ins. And fantasy points. I mean, I'm going to be chasing it as well as money, obviously.
So what's it worth to win a bracelet? Outside of the tournament payout, what do we got going here?
I really am not too sure yet. We're a little over a week away, but it's going to be worth a lot. But not even just for like that. Like I want to win it like for me and like Daniel and Josh and just like I'm going to be very committed to WSOP this summer. And I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and try to back it up for sure.
2026 bracelet winner Jeremy Becker. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.